You ever wonder if there's like a secret formula for finding the stock market's biggest winners? I'm not talking about educated guesses, but a real proven system, one based on what has actually worked decade after decade. Well, today we're diving into exactly that, all based on William J. O'Neill's massive study of over 100 years of market data.
So, what kind of potential are we even talking about here? Let's go all the way back to 1914. During World War I, Bethlehem Steel became this industrial powerhouse, and its stock, it soared a staggering almost 1,500% in less than 2 years.
Okay, now jump forward to the roaring 20s. Burroughs, the biggest maker of adding machines back then, saw its stock climb an incredible 1,992%. I mean, come on, that is a life-changing gain right there. And how about the turn of the century? Northern Pacific, one of the great railroads, just exploded over 1,100% in just 29 weeks. And look, these aren't just some random flukes. These are historical patterns. So that's the million-dollar question, right? What separates these monster winners from the thousands of other stocks that just go nowhere? What do the investors who caught these incredible rides know that most people just don't? Well, the answer is kind of wild. It all starts by challenging one of the most common pieces of financial advice you've probably ever heard. In fact, it takes that advice and flips it completely on its head. We've all heard it a million times. Buy low, sell high. And it sounds so logical, doesn't it? So safe. Of course you want to get a bargain. Find a stock that's been beaten down, buy it on the cheap, and just wait for it to bounce back. For most people, that's the foundation of their entire investment philosophy. But here's the bombshell. When O'Neill actually analyzed the charts of every major winning stock for over 100 years, he discovered that this buy low strategy was almost never how real fortunes were made. Let me say that again. The biggest winners were not bought low. And the difference is just stark. Conventional wisdom says, hey, go look for bargains, for stocks that are down and out. But O'Neill's data says to do the exact opposite. Look for market leaders that are breaking out to brand new price highs from a solid foundation. You're not buying weakness, you are buying pure strength. O'Neill has this fantastic analogy to explain this. The famous art dealer Lord Duveen, he didn't go around hunting for cheap, mediocre paintings. No way. He paid top dollar for masterpieces by Rembrandt because he knew that true quality commands a premium price. He bought high, and then he sold much, much higher. And the greatest stocks? They're the Rembrandts of the market. Okay, so if we're supposed to buy stocks that are already doing great, how in the world do we know when to get in? This is where history becomes our best friend, showing us that the past really does hold the blueprints for future success. You see, the key discovery from all of O'Neill's research is that the market, well, it has a memory. The price and volume patterns of winning stocks in the 1880s look remarkably similar to the patterns of winning stocks in the 2000s. It's like finding a blueprint for what success looks like. And check this out. The proof is just incredible. On the left, you've got the Richmond and Danville Railroad way back in 1885, forming what's called a cup-with-handle base right before it took off. And on the right, that's Apple Computer, 119 years later, forming an almost identical pattern before its own massive run. Same pattern, different century. It just goes to show you, history doesn't just rhyme. A lot of the time, it repeats. Okay, let's be real. Buying a stock at a new high can feel risky. So how do you protect yourself if you're wrong? Well, this brings us to what O'Neill considers the single most important rule in all of investing. This number right here, this is your safety net. This is your eject button. You've got to burn this into your brain. So here's the deal, the golden rule. If you buy a stock and it drops 7 or 8% from what you paid for it, you sell, period. No questions asked, no waiting, no hoping it comes back. This rule is what makes the entire buy high strategy even possible. It makes sure that when you're wrong, and you will be wrong sometimes, your losses are small and manageable, while your winners, well, they get to run. O'Neill has this perfect little parable to drive this point home. There's this trapper who's got 12 turkeys in his trap, but then one walks out. He thinks, I'll just wait for it to come back in. But while he's waiting, 2 more walk out. Then 3 more. He just couldn't accept taking home fewer than the 12 he had a minute ago, and he ended up with nothing. Just nothing. Don't be the turkey trapper. Protect your capital and never, ever let a small loss turn into a big one. All right, so we've got our defense down solid.
Now, how do we go on offense? How do we proactively find the next generation of market leaders before everyone else piles in? Well, one really powerful idea is called the follow-on effect. Basically, a huge development happens in one industry, and then related industries get this delayed benefit. So, for example, back in the late 60s, the introduction of jet airplanes made airline stocks to soar. Then, a few years later, all those new travelers needed places to stay, which caused hotel stocks to have their own incredible run. And that's related to something he calls the cousin stock theory. If a big company is booming, take a look at its key suppliers. In the mid-60s, Boeing was selling a ton of new jets. But this little company, Monogram Industries, they made the chemical toilets for every single one of those jets. Monogram became a cousin stock and quietly shot up 1,000%. So with all these rules and theories, what's the one thing it all boils down to? It comes down to this simple anecdote. A Harvard professor tore up his students' reports on fish because all they did was read books. He told them, if you really want to learn about fish, you have to go sit in front of a fishbowl and actually watch the fish. And that, right there, that is the absolute core of this entire system. The secret isn't listening to experts on TV or following hot tips or reading the news headlines. The secret is becoming a student of the market itself, studying the price and volume action on the charts of the leading stocks, because the market will tell you everything you need to know if you just learn how to listen to it.
And that really brings us to the final question, and this one's for you. Think about your own process for a second. Are you truly observing what the market is doing, studying the real patterns of success and failure? Or are you just getting caught up in that endless stream of opinions, predictions, and noise? Because the answer to that question could change everything.